Yes, yes. Happy Monday. Well, it's here. It's here in practice, meaning today the practice of those new rule changes are taking effect, and basically, quote unquote, like it actually really becomes, I guess, finable and a big time offense if you screw something up on Saturday, the 17th. Funny thing about all this, right, is they're like just now, like, hey, we're taking effect today, and like the documents, like they sent out a huge thing of like 50 pages of like documents being updated, the changes, right? Like we're supposed to be doing this thing, we don't even have the documents. It's just tell you like what it just a cluster. This will be now here probably in 2 years looking back at it, right? Everything will be running as normal, and we'll probably have forgot about this day, as because everybody will be used to the new ways of doing real estate. But it's pretty cool to be a part of this change. I've said this many times. I think it sucks. I think it sucks for us and my team the way we do things, because we have to change that. I do see the logic behind it, as far as like if you're not in the industry and you don't know, and you're like a person that's just like getting a phone call and say, hey, what do you think of this? Do you think this is right or this is wrong? Like I do see the logic of why, again, how we've got here and all the changes and stuff. I don't agree with majority of it. Probably most agents do not, but we're going to embrace it, and the changes here. So we're going to do what we think as a team is the right way, of course, following our brokerage directions, stuff like that. But I just wrote up an offer. Now that the cooperating agreement, right, which is where the seller basically pays me as the buyer's agent, is off the MLS. We don't know what that is. We don't know if it's there. So we can't assume it. And therefore, in every contract now, we're going to have to disclose what we're getting paid. So I had to do that. I'd already educated the buyer, hey, this is coming. And so, yeah, put it in today. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And especially even more interesting as we shift from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And really since I've gotten to real estate, listing agents usually make, it's usually like a 60-40 split, or like in some people's case, like a 70-30 split. And the listing agent usually keeps the majority of the money. I had one I closed last week. Literally, their commission was double than mine. It is what it is. It's fine. I'm not complaining there's a lot of stuff going on. Like since it's me now, if I have the listing, right, I can no longer market or advertise saying that, hey, my seller is willing to pay a buyer's agent commission on the MLS. It has to be done off. Like I can answer the question verbally, I can email it, I can text it, I can do all that, but I can't just like advertise it on the MLS. I know there's still some gray area there. Like, can I do a poster? Can you send out postcards? Can you send out emails? Like, there's just some gray area that we don't know. That's why I think it's going to be a whole lot of chaos. People are going to screw up. People are going to try. People are going to put in the message like, "Oh, seller's willing to offer 3 apples at closing," and 3 apples means commission. But does it, right? It says apples. What if the seller brings 3 apples? And all that they're saying like, "Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it." Well, we'll see, right? We'll see how everything plays out. But yeah, buyers, guys. I mean, you're now. The cooperating agreement is off the MLS. So if you're buying a home, right now, your agent is going to have to work in that agreement for you to get paid. We've got strategies that we're going to do, and ultimately, like our a kind of goal of ours, right, is we don't want our buyers to have to pay us. So we're going to try anything and everything we can to do in a contract, right, to get the seller to pay that fee for them, which is what they've been doing for the 100 years. But our buyers are going to know, if they can't, the buyers are going to know, well, you're either not going to get the home, or you pay us the fee that we've agreed to up front. It's up front. It'll be up front starting on Saturday. It'll be in writing. So nobody's going to agree to something and in writing that they aren't educated on. And this is where I think it's going to be a big difference of us. Is we're going to over-educate people, over-explain things, which is very important in this industry with these changes of how this is going to work, why it's being done. pros and cons. And I've already got some sellers, and I'm not joking at all. I've got some sellers that are telling me, hey, yeah, I'm gonna list here soon, right? But I want to pay a buyer's agent. Well, that's the trickle effect. And once that trickle effect starts, just know you're going to have less and less buyers coming to the table, right? Because they don't have the ability to pay a buyer's agent along with the down payment, along with the closing cost. And so it's my job to educate my sellers. Like, listen, I personally, if I was to sell my house or sell anything, I'm going to offer a buyer's agent pay. I can't advertise it, but I'm definitely going to be willing to entertain offers with it. Ultimately, you counter back, and that's where I think there's a lot of people kind of hung up on I guess the fact that, I don't want to pay somebody else's agent. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's paying what, where the money goes. All that matters is like your walk away. Like that's where you got to really put your head and your focus is your walk away, because that's what matters. It doesn't matter if you're paying 10% or 1%. What matters is the walk away. And that's where, people's got to have detailed conversations in every offer, with all sides, so everybody's on the same page. But I do think, man, we're going to see some crazy stuff come out as stuff happens to us, as we hear and see things happening. I'm going to try to share it, information to keep you all educated on this process. Again, I think I have a good understanding of what could happen. But just like in real estate, right, there's a lot of stuff that you can't predict until it happens to you, and you're like, holy crap, it's a 1 in a million type scenario to happen, and that 1 in a million scenario can and will play out. I do think there's going to be way more lawsuits that's going to come of this than there ever been, which, lawyers started this. Lawyers are going to benefit from it because there's going to be more lawsuits. Buyer's agents are going to be suing their buyers, and buyers are going to be suing their buyer's agents. And that's how it's really going to play out because of certain conflicts of stuff and payment and agreements. And hey, you sign a 6-month contract, buyer wants out. Well, they don't have to let you out. You sign a contract. So that's where you're going to get into a bunch of messy stuff. So just wanted guys to give you a heads up. It is here. I'll continue as doing updates. I know we have a big meeting on Wednesday to go over these new documents. I don't know them. I got them. I went through them and visually just kind of scrolled through the 50 pages of the new documents, and I was like, ugh, this doesn't look fun at all. But ultimately this week we'll be sitting down, going through them, kind of figure out the changes. I don't think there'll be a whole lot of changes as far as anything other than what we've been talking about. I think that's just going to be changed in legal language on paper. It'll probably be even more transparent of where the money goes, who's paying what. But I mean, a big thing that we're doing, and I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the brokerage that come out and said that they're doing it, but something that we're going to do is, we're going to represent our seller. Our fees are going to be to our seller. We are going to educate them on the positive impacts offering concessions and buyer's commission will have on their home sale. But ultimately, we're going to leave it all up to the sellers and not do any sort of cooperating agreement on the back end. So we're not responsible for negotiating that and messing all that. We're only doing our fees. But again, we're anticipating and telling everybody, hey, I still expect you to probably, get a contract that's going to say you pay an X. We'll negotiate it when it comes in. But I do think I do agree with the brokerage that's doing that, because that's what we're going to do. Our job is to, look out for our clients, and that's what we're going to be doing on both sides, which is, I think, going to be a little bit unique, and we're going a different angle than probably what a lot of people are doing. Is they're going to kind of continue doing it. I just don't want to deal with the phone calls. Oh, well, we don't want to do this. Oh, well, they do this. Let's put it in the contract, right? That's what I'm going to tell everybody. Put it in the contract. I'm going to take it to the seller. We're going to talk about the walk away. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If not, we're going to counter back with what makes sense. So questions on this stuff, if you're definitely thinking about selling in the future or thinking about buying in the future, you need to make sure you are educated about this change. Is the big, I mean, this is, I don't know, that an industry that's big as real estate, you got to think of all the stuff that real estate impacts. All the businesses, Lowe's and Home Depot, right? Think of the impact that it's had. Appliance, I've heard that these appliance companies, Whirlpool and stuff like that, it's struggling majorly because of the lack of sales, right? Furniture places, the lack of sales. People usually just don't go out and buy a new couch for their home. They usually, when they move, buy a new couch. So Questions on any of this stuff, feel free to holler. But again, a lot of this stuff, I only know what I know now. It's evolving. It'll keep changing, I think. Not necessarily like what the black and white stuff is, but how it's happening, the wording that's involved. I think a lot of that will be changing. So I'm here to help. See you.